when I jumped in and the shock from the cold water, I ended up inhaling some water. So when after I said, "Oh, you're doing it the hard way," then I was started choking like I was being waterboarded.
I had a laugh this morning. I bought some flowers just to put on my island. Well, actually, it's my mom and dad's anniversary, I think tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I was contemplating. My sister always buys flowers on their anniversary and sends a picture. So I thought, well, maybe I'll buy some flowers and send a picture to them. And then I thought, well, maybe I should make a post. And I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know, And then the gal, she like wraps them or whatever. She's around my age, your age. I'm very poor at judging. And of course, oh, so who are the flowers for? And I just kind of paused and I was like, me. And she's like, oh, good for you.
You should have said for you.
I know. I was sitting there thinking, but you're hiding everything so long that you don't want to be like, oh, I'm getting them for my girlfriend or I'm getting them for some girl. So you're like, oh, I can't tell anybody. You got that in your mindset that you got to do that.
I tell you what you do next time that happens. Okay, you ready? Remember this. So next time that happens, you have the flowers or whatever, and you say to the girl and said, you know what, I bought these for my mom, but I think she would like you to have them. And then you give her the flowers, and then walk away. That's what you do. It's almost in July, beginning of July. It'll be 2 years to the day that we started. That I used to film the intro before I did.
Yeah, I started at the end of June.
Yeah. So then it was right after July 1st. I was in Ontario and met them at the camp, and we filmed our intro there. Those 2 days. It was almost just over 2 days. We did a couple little extras. So, what the funnest part was? They were filming a Hallmark movie at the same time in town. So when we were filming a couple little bits in Sault Ste. Marie, so we'd meet at the hotel and they'd be getting all the gear and everything ready, and we'd be getting ready to go to where we were going to shoot. And so I'd be sitting there on the couch in the lobby with all the camera gear and everything, and everybody's running around, and I'm just sitting there, and people are walking by and said, "Who's that?" And they'd all be staring at me trying to figure out who I am, figuring that I was an actor somewhere or something, right? Even had one couple, they were standing there for the longest time kind of whispering back and forth, and then one of them kind of walks up and said, "You mind if we take your picture?" "Yeah, sure, go ahead." They had no idea who I was, but they wanted to take my picture. So it was quite funny. But yeah, so I guess they figured I was part of the movie that they were filming.
Well, see, I guess like you had a, I don't know. I never looked up the population comparison between Regina and Sault Ste. Marie, but I'm thinking there was a little bit more population, or maybe you were actually a little bit more in the public than when we were doing ours.
Yeah,
ours basically started off a couple little delays at the airport, and then going straight to my work, where that was kind of a funny story because at my work, I didn't really want to tell everybody at my work what was going on. And of course, we're going straight to my work.
Following that around.
straight to my work was what was on the agenda. And I thought, oh man, I wish I would be able to get at least acquainted to these people, because it takes me a little bit of time to get warmed up to people. Yeah. And it had just happened to be there was some delays, and we ended up having lunch together, and the ice was broken then. Hey?
Yeah.
And work was like, well, what should we tell everybody? Like, what should we say? And I said, well, just tell them that there's a Finnish film crew coming to film a documentary on a Finn and agriculture.
Yeah.
So I watch this. I look at my emails from work, and I see that they sent that out. It was only a couple of people from work, like some managers and owners that knew. And so we show up and give them a little tour, and we start filming. And of course, I had told one of my guys what was going on, like since I was first approached about the show. And of course, he told somebody in the back, and it just, small town stuff. It just, everybody's looking at me like, they're like, yeah, documentary and agriculture. Yeah, sure. So everybody knew by the time, like 15 minutes into our filming.
Yeah. I was surprised because when I had no idea what we were in for, really. Like, I was expecting that when they were coming to film, I figured, it's like, a host and some guy with a DSLR camera and maybe a little gimbal or something, following us around or something. That's what was in my head. And then I'm meeting them at the airport, and they all got off. There was so maybe 5, 6 of them, and then they started unloading all this gear, and I was like, what the hell is all this stuff? It's like I had no idea what I was in for. I was like, I started thinking I'm way over my head here. And then we were only like, the camp was only about a half hour, 45 minutes at the most out of town, so we were back and forth several times, to film different bits. And we went out for dinner when they first got there, and we were going to film the next morning, but it was really great to go out for dinner and sit and really get to know the crew. And 2 of them, Nick, our sound guy, and Tony, the camera guy, so it's like, getting to know them was just fantastic, right? And then it was Arto was there for the filming, for the intro, and Anni. So then that was great getting to know them a little bit beforehand. So then all of a sudden I realized, okay, I could relax a little bit, because, if we had jumped right into filming, after being surprised that, holy crap, what am I getting into? I don't know what it would have happened, but, I was able to relax for that evening. And then the next morning we got going, right? So it was a little better, but it was a surprise. I was telling Mia earlier that looking back on it, I would definitely, I don't regret doing it, but I would not take it so haphazardly. I would have been more prepared for how, is difficult the right word? How extensive and how difficult and how in depth of even emotions that it would entail to get through the whole process. That part I wasn't really ready for. So that was a bit of a surprise. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think if you consider the whole picture, like the emotions that a guy went through. There's and that's what I say to my friends. I'm like, I can't explain what it's like. You just almost have to experience it yourself to know. And I said, and that's why it's so nice to talk with the others that have been on it. And just, because they know you say something about something and they kind of smile and kind of, that.
And that's just our part. Like I'm having trouble still processing it. And this is 2 years on. I'm still having trouble processing everything that we had to go through in the whole scheme of it emotionally. Let's just stick with that aspect. But then think of what the ladies had to go through. I can't even comprehend at this point, it's like what their end of it must have been like, and that's, I got to give them all full credit, for really stepping up and putting themselves out there like that. It's really a testament to their character that, they were able to do that. I couldn't even start to comprehend what they must have been going through in that whole process. All of them. Even everyone that wrote in a letter, from the start of sitting and just putting pen to paper and basically pouring your heart out, and knowing that a bunch of locals are gonna see it. I think in my part, I think I was a little bit easy. It was a little bit easier for me because I knew that. Well, at the time, I thought that it was only going to be
people across the world that were going to see it.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I can do that. I can have this secret life here, and then I can be, but I can be me. I mean, I was me in front of the camera, but
yeah, and they're still there. They're seeing it every day, right? And their neighbors are watching, right? So that's got to be tough for them. So it's I couldn't even start to pretend to know what they went through in the whole process. So yeah. But I got our parts of the. Let's see if I can do a screen share here. Let's give that a try.
Okay.
So did you understand all this when she was talking?
I don't know a word that she said. You could pick up like different things like Suomalainen or something like that. I don't even remember if she said that, but
yeah. I was so glad at this point. I was like, oh, I don't want to be first. I don't want to be first. I don't want to be That's what I was thinking.
Oh, I was first with everything, it seemed.
Yeah.
See that shot there of like the lake, and the road going through the lake. I really liked that.
Yeah, that's the causeway over to the island. It's really nice in the summer. Like it's so different. Like just even that part with the lake, the green on the trees. It's so different in the winter compared to the summer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, even like the prairies, I was just going to stop on the shot of the prairies where it's all green fields and that, it's just so much different as far as color goes, right? But it's so much more it's so much more picturesque. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I watched this.
Yeah. I love that shot.
And there's the yard.
Yeah.
I'm Matthew. I grew up being called Matti. I'm 38 years old, and I'm from Saskatchewan, Canada.
That clip there. I don't know how many times we did that one.
Yeah, walk by, grab that branch.
Yeah, and I was like, there's not going to be any more branch to grab.
I love that truck.
1976 Ford F-150. The 360 in it.
A lot of times I like to come out here and
inline six, right? Is it?
Nope.
No?
V8. V8 with 360 V8 with 4-speed on the floor.
Yeah. Wow.
I must have been, I don't know how old in that picture.
Being out in the peacefulness of this area.
I think those pictures of the combines were about 1986.
Yeah.
So I'm 100% thin. And they met actually just down the road here. In a way, actually in a big way, the Finnish connection brought them together. And now I'm hoping for the same. Both of my parents have passed away. I actually took care of my mom.
Need my pink jacket.
Gotta love Finnish parents dressing you up. Yeah.
You could tell that she was actually broken.
I always like the candles.
Yeah.
And then at that moment, I actually knew.
You were the youngest, right?
That they really loved each
I was
other.
the youngest, yeah.
Yeah.
So I told her that I would
youngest with four beautiful older sisters. I was always told by different guys in the community that, have you met his sisters? They're talking amongst each other. And,
yeah.
And I was like sitting there like, yeah, my sisters, and they're like, oh yeah, they're like artwork. And they're like, well, what happened to you?
Yeah. Just a bookend.
Mm-hmm.
Like to go to church with and socialize, have barbecues with.
See, right there, I was thinking, it's okay. First, it's a really great story about his parents and, growing up with his sisters. Then he says, I like to go to church. And I was thinking, show's over. He's getting all the letters.
Oh.
That's what I first thought on that. It's like, there it is. Matti's the one. Yep. Just right to him.
At least there wasn't a swing and a miss on that one.
What you up to?
Just chopping some wood.
Been out doing it all day?
Have you known me not to be?
Yes.
Just a little glimpse of my sister's humor.
I'm Lisa, Matthew's just slightly older sister.
And of course, she is
I
just
would like
slightly
to find
older than
Yeah.
a great girl that would treat him right, who's like trustworthy, honest, but likes to set loose, have fun. So whoever gets Matt gets me as the best sister.
How far away is that from
Ladies,
your place?
phone in.
The lake.
That's this lake. Well, there's a number of lakes close to my place, but this one is actually probably about 20 minutes
Yeah.
away from my place. There's
it's
another
nice.
couple of, just a couple miles from my place.
Yeah.
I'd like to have somebody that would actually know what it was.
And enjoy it just the same.
Yeah. What I'm looking for in a wife is someone that is loving, passionate, likes romances.
Someone that likes to fish. I know you like fishing.
It's funny how they piece it all together in the end, right? You know, it's like,
Oh yeah,
a friend of mine was saying, you should have said it this way instead of saying this. And then it's like, I talked for 3 days and they made a 9-minute bit out of it, you know? It's like, I don't know what I said.
well, that's the thing. It's like if you knew, I mean, and we're just fresh in this too, so I mean, we had no idea what was going to happen. And I mean, you've been doing your little real estate videos, and a bunch of other videos, but I had never made a video.
Yeah.
The thought had come to my mind once in a while. Oh, it'd be nice to be in a video or something like that. But I mean, the most I was on TV was when the local school was closing down and the news came, and I was walking in the schoolyard, and it's like, oh, look, there's me.
There we go.
Nice to have another Finn woman to walk with us.
Instead of your sister?
Yeah.
I love that. I think she wants to get rid of you.
Oh, I think so. There's my friend Jana and her husband Regan.
I'd like to have an organic.
How many head do they got?
They have, the last that I heard, and this was probably about a year ago, they had over 500 cows.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. So, and they're wanting to move out to the farm. They have a house in Invermay, which is about 5-6 miles away. They're wanting to move out to the farm and build a house there. But, time is, you got to build up your herd and everything too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty pumped. I really like music.
So this part here, like to say, what I love about these kind of parks is like, I'm going to Finland, right? Now in retrospect, what you were thinking at that moment, I'm going to Finland and everything that's lying ahead of you. But now in hindsight, what's that moment feel like again? Does it feel the same?
Oh, it definitely doesn't feel the same. I mean, there's everything is so new. And even if you look at a map of Finland, you can't comprehend where you're going to be and how it's going to look. And you look at all the pictures and picture books, and you look at all these YouTube videos of tourism for Finland. And I don't know how many of those YouTube videos I watched.
Yeah.
And there was nothing quite the same as actually stepping foot and seeing it for yourself and smelling it for yourself.
Yeah. It's quite different, right? But I always love those retrospects where you can look back and think, okay, I haven't even left yet. It's like, it's like almost like all these experiences you're looking forward to, but then when you're done the adventure, you're just so much of a different person, right? But
it would be a bonus if she was musical. I could sit and listen to a piano being played for hours.
So who do you think would be good for him? Like what type of woman?
People that I can be friends with. Matthew is definitely a catch.
I think they were being a little selfish here. They were just looking for a
friend.
They're just looking for an extra babysitter.
Finland would be pretty amazing for him and for the girl to be with Matthew.
It would be good that they had a good family and friends there to come to Canada too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You got that spray?
Finally.
And notice this isn't planned that Regan's wearing a Canada shirt and I'm wearing
Oh,
a
yeah.
I love I'm made in Sask shirt, you know.
Yeah.
See another Finnish lady around here then.
Yeah, there isn't too many left anymore.
You never know.
Regan's actually
Right, the Finnish
quarter
population
Finn.
there, or what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe so.
Yeah, the population's
Neighbor killed
dying down quite a bit.
somebody.
That's a good idea.
Oh, there used to be everywhere.
And I'd like
In
to-
that little pocket right around from his place to my place,
Yeah.
there was like, there's a, like back in the day, there was a Finn on every corner.
Yeah, yeah.
And get to know each other without having to think, you know, like we have to do this right away. Well, I guess I better get warm in the sauna. You should come over later.
You got vodka?
And you know, the funny thing is that to this day, I've always been saying, Regan, you got to get over. We've got to have a sauna together. And do you think we've done it yet? No.
Well, that's the problem with having a farm, right?
Yep.
Find that free time.
Mm-hmm. Always so busy.
Yeah.
I guess the number one thing that I would think is Finnish about me is the love of the sauna. I enjoy coffee.
Coffee, eh?
Would love to have somebody to cook with. Wake up in the morning, make your coffee, talk to each other around the table. I'm quite a physical man that likes to cuddle and.
Oh.
Uh,
You gotta put it out there, right?
Yep.
Holding hands.
It's nothing better.
Life,
Yeah.
hopes and dreams. Somebody to live an adventure with.
The best thing that would happen to Matt is to meet someone from the show and get married. He's been looking for someone to love for a long time, and I hope that he gets that.
No.
See?
Our sisters are best.
Well, they are. They are. There's a span of the farmyard again.
Yeah.
The end of that portion.
Yeah. So what did you think after watching that the first time?
The first time of watching that, I was like, wow, that really got put together really good, you know, and when you're considering how I felt. And I mean, I definitely at that time was not comfortable in front of a camera.
Yeah.
And didn't really know what to do, you know, and I was like, you know, and I would get okay with the like the B-roll scenes, like let's walk along here,
Yeah.
and take this branch. I was okay with that. I had that mastered, but yeah, for the speaking parts, it was kind of scary.
Yeah.
And I mean, it still is to a certain extent, but considering from right then to now, it's so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. What a difference, eh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing looking back on it, you know, with the time that's passed and everything that we've gone through now. It's you know, what we were about to get into. Yeah. So here we are at Pine Island. They took these drone shots afterwards, or not this one.
Oh, okay.
But this was it when they first got there. Then the next day, like you could just see it's just starting to clear up, but it rained for the 2 days when I first got there to get everything set up, and it was just pouring rain the whole time. And I thought, you know, this is gonna suck with filming. But every time we got to a spot where we were going to get set up to start filming, everything stopped, started to clear up, and it was just beautiful, right? So it was just so lucky. Yeah, that's a causeway going over to the island there. That's a
And
camp.
then there's the camp with the sauna.
Yeah. Like that shot right there. It's like just how it clear. Keep. Okay, I got to stop this and just let it play.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, there's another Finn. You know, definitely can tell that it's another Finn.
Yeah.
My son last year for my birthday gave me a year off.
And of course, I'm thinking right then, I'm like, wonder what the fishing is like. It's probably
Usually-
pretty good there.
Yeah, it's actually really pretty good fishing, and we were just lucky because we figured, okay, well, just let's take 10 minutes, go to the end of the dock, take a few casts. So they took a shot from one spot, took a shot from another spot, then took the audio of the reel and everything else. And just when we were starting to finish up on the last couple casts, I could see there was a small pike following it in each time. So I just took short casts because I knew it was there. And then they were just turning the camera off, and Tony was setting up, taking down his tripod, and I was like, "Oh, set it back up! I got one." And I tried to hold on to it as slow as I possibly could till Tony got the camera set back up again. Right? But this photo right here, I don't know where they got that. I don't know if they went and creeped my Facebook from somewhere or my sister's, but that's actually a photo of us in Australia when we lived there for 2 years. And those were the school,
really?
Yeah, those were the school uniforms. But I don't. If I sent it to them, I sent it by accident because that's when we were living in Australia. Yeah, but that's my sister and I there. So
I didn't even know that you were living in Australia. I mean, I knew that you were all over the place.
Yeah,
but I thought it was in your adult life.
I see myself as a Finlander. Yeah, there's that little fish. Identity. I've always been a Finlander and got the tattoos. I got the sound in my blood. Even though I was born and raised in Canada, I always cheer for. I felt bad for that fish because it was like, okay, do it really slowly, and I'm just like, I got to get this fish back in the water. Actively working towards moving back to the country from that, and selling real estate for the last several years.
Chopping wood again.
that
How many times did you miss?
I don't believe if I missed at all, but that wood was so nice already that it was it's such a nice soft pine, and it was really dry. So you just had to give it a little tap and it just split, right? And Tony's there, he's on the side, then he's up on the ladder and said, okay, I need you to take a big swing. And so I'm taking this full swing, and try not to hit it too hard because it would just fly right apart, right? Where you just have to give it a tap. And he says, it needs to look good with the full swing, and I can appreciate that. I understand that. But, I wish I had, because the year before we were there, my son and I, we were chopping up these huge pine logs, right? And we were pounding them as hard as we could with the sledge and the splitter and everything else, and then we got to these little pine sticks, right? So it was like, we still need the full swing. So, but it looked good. It looked good on camera.
I think the first one of mine, wasn't that I missed. It was just that the log fell over.
Yeah. To that country life. Having somebody to go through that adventure with could make it more interesting. Yeah, this shot, so that morning you could see the fog bank in the back there. Like that fog was as thick as pea soup, right? And again, just as we went to start filming, we figured, well, let's just take a couple shots here and there. And then all of a sudden the fog just blew right out. So.
And then I was like, oh yeah, Mr. Fitness.
Yeah.
Running away. Yeah. And I was thinking there he's going to get all the ladies. He's going to get all the letters.
Yeah. And then when my son's mom watched this, she said, you should probably get some running clothes that fit you properly. It's like, yeah, but I don't run to look good. That was a great experience.
This time I guess it didn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah, and then watching this part, I was watching that and I was thinking, yeah, I shouldn't have probably ate a big supper at my mom's last night. It's like, I can still feel it, right? And it was like, oh, just run down the street. It's like, how full I am.
Well, how did they keep up with you?
There was a couple shots where Tony hung out at the side of the van, and a couple of shots we did on the sidewalk, right? There was one part where I ran like 3 blocks, and they rode in the van beside me.
Kind of figured so.
Yeah.
Have you done this before?
these shots were great with the ladies there. Like they were so awesome, you know, putting all this together for us. Right?
Well, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
And coming up here, I don't know exactly where it is. I think it was there. I was like, oh, that just killed me when your mom's like, no, you were the same.
Yeah, I was the favorite. I am the favorite.
From Finland was very nice growing up. A lot of them I didn't appreciate at the time, like Nenmi or Makselaatikko. I didn't like them as a kid at all. And now it's like I wish I had some Nenmi this last Easter.
And see the thing, like those things, I didn't really know what they were. I think maybe my dad didn't like them.
Oh yeah.
I'm guessing maybe they didn't like them and they never really wanted to make them.
Yeah.
I mean, we made bula all the time, and I mean, of course, it was different than that. We never made it like that.
Yeah.
I think Dad had more of a sweet tooth and
Yeah.
kind of dictated what was made too.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, these ladies, like all like first generation, right? Or not first generation, but immigrants, right, to Canada.
Oh,
And,
straight, like born in Finland.
Straight over from Finland, right? You know, so they brought a lot of that over with them. You know, it's so it was their way of life. That, you know, it's like my grandmother would bake every weekend. She would bake bread, a bowl, or you know, cook something that was going to be eaten for the rest of the week or for the next 2 weeks, right? You know, and that was just a way of life for them, right? So a lot of that got passed down, but you know, as generations go, it gets thinner and thinner, right?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think like because all my grandparents came over from Finland. My parents were born here in North America, and I always thought that maybe it was just a growing up on the farm kind of thing, that, you know, mom would make bread and bula and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily think it was Finnish or know that if it was Finnish or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I absolutely love being a father.
I had to stop and buy salmon before we went out to the camp, just in case we didn't catch a fish.
We get a little older, and every year that passes, that possibility becomes a little less and less. But if the scenario was there,
There's all that great wood I split.
everything clicked, I'd absolutely have kids anytime. Through years of dating, I've made lists probably miles long of everything that I would want to find in someone.
That shot with the chickmunk.
And the one thing I didn't realize is
I guess they don't have chickmunks in Finland. So again, Tony was just packing up the tripod, and this chickmunk came out to eat these peanuts that they had put out. So right away, Andy saw the chickmunk, and he's like, "Tony, set it up." So Tony had to set up his camera again to try and get the chickmunk. And I was talking to Andy afterwards about this shot, and she was saying that when it first came back from edit, that she was watching it and they didn't have the chickmunk in this part of the show. And she sent it back, said, "Put the chickmunk in." Oh, what did I do?
Back to
Oh, there we go here.
when you
Okay,
get the
sorry
right
about that.
person and there's that spark, you feel it.
Yeah, it
in
was,
your hands, and that list goes right out the window. It doesn't matter anymore. But as far as, you know, what I'm
Yeah, it was a
I
little
didn't
weight.
remember that slow motion piece.
She'd have to be adventurous. She
That
probably
fish was
found a
good.
woman that would be just as comfortable in the back.
Well, it looks like it was. And that was just salt?
Yeah, just salt the hell out of it and
that's where it's
you know,
gonna grow, and you're gonna
put it in with I think it was hickory. I think we did.
Oh, okay.
The night before, I cooked up a big pot of clam chowder,
put all this together.
and so we were having that for lunch. So,
Oh, okay.
Nice Finnish women back here.
And this is your aunt and uncle.
mm.
Anja, ja me ollaan eroin sitä.
Yeah, so
Is there any other type of
That's
but nice?
I put Jeff on the spot there. You know, that's my cousin Annika, is the Finnish woman. You know, and then I don't know why that's in quotes, but then to put Jeff on the spot. Okay, Jeff, you answer this one. What about the Finnish women? But you know what?
Yeah, his face is priceless.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you know what's funny is, just on a side, you know, he's you know, I don't think he's even Finnish, has any Finnish in him. He's a native as well, but he's almost a spitting image of our grandfather, Anukana's grandfather. So it like people relatives that knew my grandfather before he passed, when they met Jeff, you know, it was like, oh my God, you know, this looks just like him, right? I'll try and get a picture up here after I edit it, see the similarities.
See, the funny thing is a lot of his facial expressions remind me of my dad's brother, my uncle.
Yeah.
And of course he's full Finn, and I'm thinking, oh man, he looks just like George.
Yeah.
Because he was always up for adventures, and he always liked to pick on me.
I really did. I feel a little bad. We did pick on her a lot.
One of the nicest parts of growing up in a strong community is you have that culture. Yolo and Pikku Yolo and all those little things that, you know, it's like, you hate to see them.
See, Pikku, I knew that was little.
Yeah, yeah, little Christmas. I can't remember when it's celebrated, but we used to do that for the kids all the time.
Oh, okay.
Ja nyt me ollaan todella kiinnostuneita näkemään, että minkälaisen naisen sieltä Suomesta Roy löytää.
Pitäisikö hakea Tampereelta siellä?
No,
Oli aikanaan ainakin paljon.
He was saying maybe he should go to Tampere and get a. That's where my father and Tapsa grew up, in Tampere.
Oh,
so right there, he was saying, yeah, you should go to Tampere and get a girl from there. Actually, one of the, I think I don't know if it made the edit, but one of the letters I was reading, she was saying, yeah, I'm the girl from Tampere that your uncle was talking about, or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was quite funny.
And your dry sense of humor.
Stubborn Finlander, who would know?
Yeah, stubborn like your dad.
Yep.
He's always ready for a laugh. He likes to tell jokes. He's very smart and well-read, so he likes to share new things.
One of the things that I remember about you, just even in the messaging, when we would message back and forth a lot. You know, there's always something that I would sit there and just sit there and giggle to myself, and everybody's like, "What are you laughing about?" I'm like, "All right."
Yeah.
The sauna.
You know, the worst part of this filming was that, you know, I love having a sauna so much, but we had to filming took priority than having the good sauna. So it was more of a rush sauna. We did manage to, you know, have a pretty good sauna before we had to go out and film, but you know, it was still a little bit more rush than I would have liked to take. But
that was one of the things in my filming. They were like, it was right at the end, and I thought we were done, and they're like, we want you to have a sauna, and I'm like,
yeah.
What? And then once it was established that I was gonna have a towel and everything, and I kind of calmed down from that initial
yeah.
then they're like, I'm in there because we had it heated, obviously, and I'm in there, and they're like, okay, well, you can come out, and I'm thinking, but it's got to look authentic. I got to look red. So I'm like, I'm enjoying this too much, and they're like, Matt, you can come out.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have saunas like that in Halifax. There might be the perfect woman out there for me.
One of the funny parts, like when you look how red and sweaty we are when we first come out, you know, so that was good, you know, but then you watch, you know, we were sitting there for probably almost 15 minutes while we were going through all the dialogue and filming, you know, it's like by the end, we're just being eaten by mosquitoes and cold. And then they're like, oh, go jump in the lake.
Should we jump into the sauna for another?
Yeah. Come up and experience that for themselves, right? It's not bad if you could have that kind of life.
How warm was it? Rather cold that time when you were filming there?
It was cool. It was the water was cool. The weather was nice, but the water was still, you know, maybe about 5 degrees. So it was a shock, you know, when jumped in. But yeah, like no sweat left. Like we're totally cooled off. You know, then we got to go jump in the lake. Right?
Watch this show.
This was. I always kind of laugh at this part here.
Yeah, well, you know. So what happened here is like I got confused on what we should be doing here, because he said, okay, go over to the dock and then both of you jump in off this side. But I got to the dock, then I remember Jeff doesn't Jeff doesn't dive into the water, right? He'll always go into the water and swim, you know. So now I was thinking, you know, what's the angle on it? Are we going to be out of the picture, you know? So then I kind of did a fact that I was just going to fall in. But they edited it well. They edited it well, because when I jumped in and the shock from the cold water, I ended up inhaling some water. So when after I said, "Oh, you're doing it the hard way," you know, then I was starting choking like I was being waterboarded, you know. And my cousin Anuka, she's sitting on the step, and she's like, you can see she's covering her mouth because she's trying not to laugh, so it didn't ruin the shot. But I was just dying. I couldn't breathe. I was trying not to cough and choke in the shot and everything else. But it got pretty bad.
Well, that was one of the things that, I mean, we never knew anything about. Like, for instance, in the part where I'm doing the interview and I'm like, I grew up being called Matti.
Yeah.
At one point in time, my sister was walking way in the background, and all of a sudden they're like, Lisa, you're in the shot. And it's like, we didn't know, you know.
Yeah, that was it was quite funny, you know. And afterwards, when they cut it, you know, then Annika just bust out laughing, you know. It was because I was there trying to act all cool and casual, swimming in the cold water, and I was practically dying. Pardon me. You know, it was good, but yeah, I was quite surprised on how they brought it all together in the end. It was they did a lot of work to be able to do that, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And thinking of all of the scenes that didn't make it, and you're like, oh, I wonder where that was going to put in, and then you see it later somewhere else in an advertisement or something, and it's like, how do you even remember what all was filmed?
Yeah,
because I mean, you got to remember there was 2 cameras. Yeah, there was 2 cameras, maybe 3 at some points in time.
Yeah.
And the drone, and like,
yeah.
I mean, you're not right there to see it all, I guess.
Yeah.
There's so much work afterwards to put it together.
The thing that got me is sometimes when you'd have such a small space, you know, and Tony would get right in the corner or something, and I'd feel like I'm like right there in the camera, and I was like, this isn't going to look good at all. But then when I watch it, and I was like, wow, that looks like a wide open space, you know, the way that's shot, right? But you know, that's why you want those professionals like Tony and Nick to get those sounds and shots, right? It makes all the difference.
Oh yeah, that was, I remember the grass nearly wasn't tall enough in the barnyard there for that little scene with my head. I remember feeling like I was really, really slouching.
Yeah.
And I'm like it looked it looked great, and it's like, oh, I guess they do know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's a shot out of Gladiator. You ever see the movie Gladiator? He has that dream sequence when he's flashing back to his going home after the military service and going home to his farm, and he's walking along, dragging his hand through the golden field. You know, that's that shot. Every time I see that kind of shot, I think of Gladiator when he's doing that. Right? Yeah, but yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. How long was it? When did we go to? So that was July that we finished filming. So beginning of July we finished that. Then they went and filmed the other 2, and then when did we get to Finland? Do you remember the date?
I left Regina on October 5th. It was a Saturday.
Yeah, and then we met in Toronto there that night.
And we met in Toronto, and we took a selfie. I still remember that one. You remember that selfie?
Not off the top of my head. I got a couple, but send it to me and I'll try and edit it in here when I put this together. So
because that was the only one that I have ever gotten from you.
Yeah,
you took it. We got together and we took a selfie. I remember getting off the plane.
Yeah,
and I was looking, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm getting hungry. I don't know how much time I have. And I'm like, I don't know how far the next terminal is. And then I finally got there. And I'm looking around and I'm dragging my luggage, and then all of a sudden I hear Matti. And I was like, Suomalainen.
But on an aside from that, you know how funny it is that when I was talking to my uncle Tapsa and saying, okay, we're going to Finland on this date, and you know we're going to be filming over there, and you know that's what's going on, and then he was saying, oh yeah, your cousin's flying over to Copenhagen at the same time, and so I can't be on the same flight, you know, but yeah, that's cool. And then sure enough, it turned out we were on the same flight. You know, the three of us met up there before we got on the plane. And then it was funny because then it was like, oh, okay, good to see you, John, you know, have a great trip and everything else. And he goes and gets on the plane, and then you and I go and get on the plane, and we end up sitting right beside each other on the plane.
I remember, you can imagine what's going through my head, because I mean, I'm like, well, what's going on? He gets to bring people, or he's bringing people, like
my entourage.
It's like, is this his bodyguard or his agent, or what's going on here? You know, I didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
And then of course we're sitting there, and I mean, I was in the middle between you and this other lady, and I was just like, okay, I wonder how many hours do we got here?
Oh yeah, she was sitting by the window, and then she had like everything covering her head. Then she had the huge noise canceling headphones. It's like,
she was well prepared. Prepared.
It's like she could have been in a totally different world for that whole time when we were flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the way to fly, right? You know, it's like,
for sure.
That's a long flight to sit there for that long. But
yeah, how many hours was that one? I'm getting it confused with the one coming back.
I keep thinking it must have been about 9 hours or something like that.
I think it was something like that, and then we got to Copenhagen. I don't know where we stop in this adventure. where do we cut it as the cliffhanger for like, stay tuned for the next time when you can find out.
Yeah. In the next episode, we arrive in Copenhagen. Yeah.
And Roy is in his glory land because there's bread everywhere.
Oh, the bread. Yep. Yeah. I ate so much. It's like...
And you know the funny thing, we did some clips. I don't think I ever seen those clips that we did in Copenhagen Airport.
No, I haven't. I sent some to Anni in case they wanted to use them in the show, and in case they wanted to use them in the show, I didn't want to release any, and I didn't want to release any because I didn't want to make any kind of spoilers down the road for when the show came out, right? So everything, I got so much footage from Finland that, you know, I haven't edited it at all because I didn't want any spoilers as far as how the show was going to progress, and where we didn't know how they were going to the timeline of the show. So I didn't want to put anything out there that's going to mess with their sequence. So that's why I wanted to be careful with all that, right? So.
And that's where I would like. There's certain clips that we had made, like our own little videos, which were nothing. Which, I mean, like for the selfie videos, getting back to the introductory episode.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I'll touch on this, and you can edit that as you please. But I remember, let me tell you a little story about this. We want you to make selfie videos, Matthew. Oh, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna talk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to my phone, holding it up, and I'm like, well, where should I be? Should I be? I'll stand out in this oat field. So I'm trying to find the best spot, and the sun's shining, and it's so bright, and my forehead shining, and I'm like squinting, and I'm trying to say something, and then I sent it to Mia, and Mia's like, you know, sometimes when we're looking in the sun, you know, we look like we're mad. And I'm like, okay, well, that whole bit that I just done, okay, that's out the window. And then so later on in the evening, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do some more, and I'm gonna stand here. But they wanted light on your face in the instructions. So I was like, okay, well, how do I do this? You know, I don't have an external light. I have to use the sun. And I came up with these little different things, and the bits, like when I watched them, and I had all these little clips, and I watched them, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna look terrible.
Yeah.
And my buddy was like, "Oh, do you want to go out fishing? We can do some clips there." And it was the lighting when we were out fishing was great. I don't know if it really came through on those clips, but it was great. And I did how many little videos here and there, and I'm like, okay, be quiet. I'm gonna talk, like for my like half a sentence that I tried to say something. And so I sent them all, and I'm like, okay, what's this gonna look like? Meantime, you send your video. I do a little bit of editing once in a while. Nothing big, just once in a while, you know. And I'm like, oh, I'd like to see. Oh, here's. I opened it up on my YouTube for you. You can watch this. So I'm sitting there at work, and I'm looking, and I'm like, this is what he sent them. This is what he sent them to edit. And I'm like, I'm going to look so bad if this is what it is.
Yeah,
but you know, I was delightfully surprised at what they put together for me.
Yeah,
but it must have took a lot more work.
But they didn't, obviously, like what I had fun with it, because that's what I do for a hobby, right? It's just edit these little videos. So then they said, we want some, like just some selfie footage, you know, and this is kind of what we want in this kind of story, you know? And I figured, yeah, I'm all over that. Yeah. So I went out and took all the footage, and then I sent it over to them. But then in the meantime, I edited that little video that I sent you, which isn't released on YouTube yet, but because they said, well, we can't, that's funny, but we can't use that because like they need their own music, they need their own montage and everything else, which is understandable, you know, as far as the network is concerned. But so I've been saving that as well for after the show and everything is over. Then it's like, this is what I did, you know. So stay tuned.
I'm waiting for this is the after thing, and I hope there's an audience for it.
Well, you know, it's if nothing else, you know, that's my whole platform as far as this is concerned. Is like, you know, it's like my audience that I'm always talking to here is my grandkids, my great grandkids. You know, so that they could look back on this, you know, it's like, and I think that, you know, that's what the way I always try and project in when I'm doing my videos is that they are my audience. They haven't even been born yet. But because I think about, you know, my father and uncles, grandmother and grandparents, all imagine if they had video abilities like we have today, and imagine being able to look back on that part of their life and, you know, hearing them talk, telling the stories on what they went through and, you know, what it was like coming over and things like that. You know, it's like, how great would that be, right? You know, so that's why I always, you know, when I do these little videos, that's why I always try and keep my audience in mind when I do that, right? You know, and, you know, so hopefully they're going to be watching that as well. So.
Well, that is so true. I mean, when you're thinking like, I mean, we got a bunch of black and white pictures of my grandparents and the people from that era. Yeah. And of course, all of them had passed away before I was born, so I never knew them. And and my cousin, he'll color some photos and stuff, and he'll be like, wow, you know, it just brings them in a whole different light. Yeah. Than black and white, you know, and you think that, I wonder if that's what their hair color was or their skin pigmentation.
And now they got that AI where you could take an old photo and the AI will move their face around a little bit. So, yeah, and that's pretty cool. I've been watching that, but I knew my grandmother. But then when we did that for one of her younger photos, which was really cool. But then at the end, they had like a half second where she started to smile. And that at that point, I realized, okay, well, that's not her, you know, because she's like me. She smiled with her eyes, right? You know, it's like the smile wasn't just in the face; it like went
notice
right into the eyes.
You see the eyes. Right, you see the eyes.
Yeah, so like her smile went right into the eyes like that as well, right? So that half second smile at the end, it was like, that's neat, but that's not her smile, right? You know, but again, imagine like that's what, you know, maybe 60, 70 years ago, more than that, you know, when she was a teenager. But imagine 100 years from now, what our great grandkids are gonna be able to do with this footage, you know. I can't,
Yeah.
it's hard to even fathom what they might be able to do with it. Like for all intents and purposes, like they'll take this video and they'll 3D image us sitting at the coffee table with them, having a chit chat, you know. It's like, it might even get to that level. You never know, right? So who knows? Yeah.
Oh yeah, you don't know. I mean, you think of even agricultural technology from when my grandpa came and it was a steam engine, and now what they have. I mean, you might have seen a clip of some of the equipment on my Instagram, and it's just wild.
And if 100 years from now we are 3D printed onto our ancestors' coffee table having coffee together, I'm going to need one more coffee, and then we could wrap this up here.
Okay.
But that was fun. That was great. Hopefully we'll get this put together and get this out there and have some fun with it.